Good afternoon, everyone. We're set to go, Tom?
Yep.
I am Jennifer Kelly, County Clerk. Just to start the meeting out before we get going, if anyone has questions regarding recording this meeting, our IT manager, Tom Ressler, is here and has the option ready for anyone that is choosing to do recording. So if anybody is wanting to record, please hit record if you so choose.
Clerk could call the meeting of the Houghton County Election Commission to order. If the clerk could please pull the board.
Judge Strome.
Present.
Lisa Madewa.
Present.
Jennifer Kelly. Present.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Behind you, Judge.
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. First order of business is approval of the September 30th, 2020 and May 21st, 2020, which I believe was an abbreviated meeting minutes. Any additions, corrections, or deletions to the minutes that need to be proposed?
I do have, should this be Friday, May 21st, 2021? It's saying
Oh,
2020
yes.
It should be.
And
It should
same
be
that is
thing
correct.
2021, both of
on
them.
the agenda, and as well as the minutes. It has 2020 on the agenda. And
Oh, geez, I'm stuck on 2020.
yeah,
I will.
other than that, it looked okay.
Okay.
Any other corrections? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from both meetings
With the one correction.
with the one correction?
I will make that motion to approve the September 30th, 2020 and the May 21st, 2021 as amended. Make the motion.
Support. Clerk will pull the board.
Lisa Madewa.
Yes.
Judge Strome.
Yes.
Jennifer Kelly. Yes.
All right. Approval of agenda and additions. My only correction would be it says it starts at 11 a.m. It should be 12 a.m., but I believe we took care of that on the
I
website.
corrected that on everything.
It should be 12 p.m. actually,
Correct.
correct? Okay. Anything else regarding approval of the agenda or additions to the agenda? I don't believe that requires a vote. And I believe at this point we have, I believe, one person who's shown up in person, and we have, how many people have shown up by Zoom? One person by Zoom. Now we have opportunity for public comment. Did anybody wish to address the Election Commission this morning? Or I guess we're afternoon now.
And I am unmuting Kristin, unknown last name.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me okay?
I believe so. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can. We have your first name is Kristin and your last name?
Lortie, Lortie.
Okay, and would you like to take an opportunity to address the commission, ma'am?
I would.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I have a quick question because I had a few items that would be helpful on screen share, but if you can't easily see a screen, they won't be helpful, and I can send them after. Is that, it looks like you're not set up to really view a screen very easily. Is that correct?
That's not going to work according to an IT guy. Yeah.
That's fine. That just helps me to not trouble with that part. I will send it afterwards though, the things that I wanted to screen share so that you'll have them. I'll forward them to Jennifer, and if Jennifer would be willing to distribute, then that will complete that, at least my thought there.
Is that okay?
I will do that, sure.
Okay,
Yes,
certainly.
yes.
And I just want to make sure I'm talking to the right person. I did get copies of some correspondence that was sent prior to the May 21st meeting, a letter, and is the reason what was submitted was one of the reasons why we agreed to adjourn this meeting. You were the person who wrote that letter, is that correct, ma'am?
That's correct.
Okay, and so because of that, we decided that we wanted you to have an opportunity to participate in the meeting. So we adjourned it today to give you that opportunity. But we have received that correspondence and read it. Is this something that would be additional or different than what you've already submitted?
It would be additional.
Okay, all right. It
Yes.
sounds like everybody's okay with that then. And why don't you go ahead and tell us what you would like us to know?
Okay, great. So regarding that correspondence dated May 21st, I do have a request that it be included with the meeting records for this meeting. Because I did ask Jennifer to read it. I don't think that she read it, but I think you guys read it individually, and it's just a request that it could be added, included as a portion of the meeting materials.
Okay.
And I want to thank you for rescheduling this meeting. I appreciate it. There's something that I feel, strongly about regarding this topic. I understand that the board may not be able to address the most direct concern that I raised, but I still want to start out by saying that I appreciate you addressing my desire for participation so that I could be here. So I want to start out with that, that it was I was very encouraged when I heard that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And so then I have a written statement, so I'm just going to go through it to add to what I had said prior. So as you know from before, in the written statement, I said that a portion of my protest has to do with poorly informed, poorly notified August millage elections. So that's kind of my overarching topic here. And I have, but I want to present more information than I did in my original letter. So what I'd like to say is that my concerns about the August millage election stem from minimal information provided to voters prior to the election. And by the way, you don't all, I'm gonna email this as well. So you don't have to take too many notes because, I've written it. I want to make sure that you have the information. So feel free to just listen to the comment and not feel any need to write things down if you don't want to. The unnecessary time and expense of potentially hosting an August election and a November election, depending on who wishes to present a question. Regarding voter notifications, I am aware of the state of Michigan's lack of election notification requirements to adequately inform voters prior to a special election, including the wasting of tax dollars on notifications in the Daily Mining Gazette that no one reads and that are only available in the print edition of the newspaper. As Jennifer is aware, I have been inquiring regarding election costs. By consolidating elections to the November election, there would be savings on staff time, ballots needed, and programming of ballot machines, as less effort would cover more territory. The cost sharing component of a single election would be much greater than hosting two separate elections, especially where county-wide ballot questions are posed to voters, which could happen at any election. My petition to the election board includes the following questions and suggestions. Can the election board implement a practice of encouraging local jurisdictions to submit their questions in November? And if they must occur in August, to request that they explain to voters and taxpayers why an August election is necessary? Can the election board encourage more information to be provided on the ballot, in addition to the ballot question, to better inform voters of all sides of the proposed millage question? I will be sending you an example from Colorado of voter information that they present to voters prior to the election. I'm not sure if it has the exact ballot. It probably does have the ballot question on it, but it's very informative. And I'll be attaching that to my email. It is a stark contrast to the information provided in any Michigan election that I have witnessed. And since I have a Colorado background, that contributes to my concern at seeing Michigan elections. Next item, can the election board encourage that a voter and taxpayer mailing be sent 6 to 8 weeks prior to a special election? That includes the impacts of a yes vote, a no vote, fiscal impacts, and comments submitted by citizens who feel strongly about the question. While the response I have received to sending out an individual mailing is that it's too expensive, I have not seen any efforts toward voter education, even when mailings are already going out and information that has been sent has been scant at best. For example, Calumet Laurium is submitting an election question for the upcoming election. One of the screenshots I was going to show you is the minimal information that Calumet posted on their website, which simply announces the election day, and that does not state that it's a millage renewal election, nor does it even include the ballot question. For the 2019 school bond election, where I got involved and more informed about the August elections, the notice that was sent to the Torch Lake taxpayers that happened to be in the Dollar Bay School District did not disclose that it was for a school bond election. And if Cindy is the other person in the audience, she can attest to this in the notice that she received as a Torch Lake taxpayer. For the 2019 school bond election, the summer newsletter that was sent to Osceola Township residents also did not disclose that it was a school bond election. How is it acceptable that tax elections are occurring where voters are not even advised that they are tax and millage elections? Can the election board encourage collaboration with other jurisdictions to save on mailing costs to address the rebuttal, the defense that it's too expensive to send a mailing? For example, all local jurisdictions send out a summer property tax mailing, and several include a newsletter with their summer taxes. Could the county encourage, for example, Canal View's countywide question and background information to be submitted with the summer tax mailings and newsletters? While this would require some coordination between Canal View, the county, and the townships, it would reduce overall mailing costs, as mailing costs come up repeatedly as a reason why voters are not individually notified of the summer election. Would the county and the election board voluntarily disclose to voters and taxpayers the costs associated with elections so that voters can easily locate the election costs, total and summary items for each election? Can the election board explain the cost savings to the public entity for placing all questions on one November election rather than 2 elections so that the greater costs are realized for all of the jurisdictions? Election cost sharing reduces the amount of dollars the local entity receives in their millage. So why wouldn't jurisdictions want to reduce these costs to increase their available funding? Would the election board consider sending a letter to Secretary of State Benson and Senator McBroom to review the August millage elections and whether they should be eliminated, or at least to increase notification requirements that all voters are required to be individually notified of all special elections? Perhaps this additional cost burden would discourage some special elections to move to November. And even that, actually, there's not a cost savings there. They'd just be changing the legislation. So I got a little jumbled there on that thought. But the idea, the request is to actually send a letter saying that they should be eliminated. And I have a letter that I personally put together, signed by taxpayers, that I will be sending to you as a follow-up. Can the election board make it known to local jurisdictions that are considering placing a question that a complaint has been received regarding August special elections, and that jurisdictions may be in the position of having to justify to taxpayers their decision to select an August over November question? I referenced the ballot question I'll be sending you about Colorado. If the board would take a few moments to review the attachment, it is evident to see the amount of detailed information that is individually mailed to voters well ahead of every November election. They don't allow special elections except for every other May. So they don't have this practice. I'm also sending you a link to the full Blue Book, which I sent to Jennifer a few years ago, 97 pages chocked full of information about elections. And I'm almost finished here, just so you know. I am also attaching a letter that signed by local taxpayers that was sent to Senator McBroom, which I just referenced. I did not receive any indication of the matter moving forward toward better policy in Michigan, and I am submitting it so that the election board can see that local taxpayers and voters are interested in this topic. I am interested in the efforts the county is taking to inform voters of the August election. After complaints following the 2019 Dollar Bay Tamarack City School bond election, Jennifer Kelly committed to doing more to help local voters. While the local ballot questions are now being added to the county website, these require a motivated person to locate, and much more can be done to inform voters of the special elections. I request to be informed of any efforts to better inform local voters. I hope that in closing, I hope that my suggestions may be considered by the county and the election board to encourage voter participation, to eliminate summer tax elections, and to increase cost sharing for election costs and efforts. While the election board cannot change Michigan requirements, there is an opportunity for the county to encourage more informed, cost-effective local elections with greater voter participation. And I thank you for your time. That's all I had.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lortie. This is Judge Strome. I do want to first of all point out that all of us, and I believe we mentioned this at our last meeting, that if I didn't say it, I'll say it now, that your letter was very well articulated and your points are well taken. As for the substance of what you're requesting of the commission, it's way beyond the scope of what this commission does. This board basically looks at the ballots. It's interesting, it is complete coincidence. There was another judge in, I believe it was Calhoun County, that was, sending out an email basically, and the reminder that the scope of what this commission does is very narrow. For example, we'll get some very heated issues when issues like recalls come up. And it's very clear in our role that we are not there to take sides, to advocate for anything. Our only role, as you can see, our business item is to approve the ballot language. Is the comma in the right, not quite, is the comma in the right place? Are the periods there? Can someone reading the ballot proposal, grammar understand what's being said on the actual ballot, not as to what, and as a judge, it's even a bigger deal. I'm on this board, but when we start advocating things and positions and things of that nature, that's not an area where the board is supposed to go. Although I do appreciate completely where you're coming from. And one of the reasons I reheld this meeting is I was concerned that it was, the potential existed that notification could have been better, and I wanted you to be able to participate. That's all what courts are all about, is notice and an opportunity to be heard. That's what elections should be all about. But as for this group, we meet on very, very narrow issues. The individuals that you talked about, like Senator McBroom, Representative Markkanen, the County Board of Commissioners, the authorities in Dollar Bay, if it's Osceola Township, I believe it would probably be. Those are the individuals, and it sounds like you've already taken your concern. This is not an advocacy body. This is a body that meets prior to elections to determine whether the ballots are appropriate to go to the public. So I just want, and I got the sense from the beginning of your comments that you understood that anyway, so I'm probably just telling you what you already know, but it's that's not the role of the probate judge or the treasurer to do anything other under these circumstances to approve the ballot language. There's certain other responsibilities that happen at election time. They're very well described in statute and they're limited. So there are people that have the authority and ability to do these things. We're basically supposed to be a neutral body that basically is to look at this language. We don't have any say whatsoever as to whether there should or shouldn't be an August election when we're having a November election. We all may have our own personal opinions about that one way or the other. But that's not where we're supposed to land. We're supposed to be, is the ballot language okay? If not, you need to make these corrections. If you don't make these corrections on time, we're going to have a problem. Is there something within the ballot language itself that is conflicting? Or, sometimes we might get a wrong year or a wrong date, and which would create confusion to the voter. That is the very, very narrow scope of this board. We're and part and parcel of that is we're not supposed to be reaching out as a board to do the things you asked for. It's contra to what the purpose is. The appearance of neutrality, the looking at the language for what it is, the looking at the grammar for what it is. So I understand that you have a broader based effort at saying, hey, Michigan, wake up. It's 2021. We have all kinds of different things. Hey, wake up, Election Commission. Maybe you could do a better job of notifying us of what's going on. But regardless of the merit of your concerns, it's well beyond the scope of what the board does. So I don't know if that answers your question. I think you already knew the answer, but with that, is there anything else? Did I not address that? If in any way, I'd want to give you another chance.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Judge Strome. I wasn't sure actually what authority that the Election Commission Board had. So your question is very helpful. I did not think that you were going to be able to change the elections after the dialogue that I've had so far with Jennifer. It is helpful to know what you do and don't do. As a taxpayer, it's been frustrating to locate the correct source of how this could be better addressed locally, even as we wait for, because state requirements seem impossible to change for me. So I'm willing to petition locally to just get collaboration, have people think about it. And I run out of places to stop at, but you did give me an idea. I may forward this comment to the commissioners themselves, because I'd like to see, just because Michigan allows 2 elections doesn't mean that we have to have them. So I'd like to find different places and avenues to advocate for a November election. And this is just one place to make a comment. Even if you can't address my concerns, I still appreciate you all hearing them. So it matters to me, even though you don't have the authority to address them.
Yeah, and that's the thing, even though we don't have the authority to address them, they certainly were something from the standpoint of the citizen. We're all citizens ourselves outside of our elected roles. And it's certainly some of the things you raise gives one pause to think about what you're saying. And that's why I'm not saying that your comments are without merit. That's why your points are well taken. It's just a situation where this body doesn't have the ability to address them. I really did appreciate what you had to say. So there's 2 different things. I appreciated what you had to say, but none of the 3 of us individually or collectively have the power to do anything. We don't have the power to do anything about it one way or the other. That's basically the short answer.
Judge, may I tell her
And
something?
would you agree, Jennifer and
definitely.
Lisa?
Oh, yes,
if I've
definitely.
misspoken anything, I don't want to speak for you. Go ahead.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, Kristin, it's Jennifer.
Hi there.
So I heard you say something about wanting to contact the commissioners regarding the same issues. Just so you know, I spoke to the Bureau of Elections, and even our commissioners cannot change anything. You're needing to contact the legislatures that set up Michigan laws, just like how you feel about the Gazette notices. Those are the 2 only things our legislatures have said are required, besides the public accuracy notice, to go into the Gazette to inform the voters. And yes, I know a lot of people don't get the Gazette anymore, but until that's changed by our legislatures, Kristin, there's not a thing a commissioner, a county board, like the Election Commission, any of us can change. You got to go to the top dogs.
The only thing I would add to that, Ms. Lortie, is that although they may not have the authority, those are the entities that often ask for August and March elections. So from the standpoint of those entities deciding to call an election during that time frame,
Very true.
that would be the appropriate venue to address those concerns. But I'm glad that Jen added that input, that they likewise have. They don't have the authority to
Cancel an election.
change those things, but they certainly, if they're asking for a millage renewal or increase, would have the ability to determine what date they want to ask for it. And I think that's also likewise where I probably see this come up most of the time is with schools. That's probably the most often time that I see it. And we see it because if there's a ballot proposal, we need to meet and sit down and go over the ballot proposal for every single election. So, but I guess you're talking about on the standpoint of addressing bodies that are setting millage elections from the standpoint of having them consider whether it's good or bad to do it the way they're doing it, those would be the appropriate venues. But Jen is completely right. They still don't have, from the notification aspects that you raise, especially in light of, you know, whether, you know, the newspaper is enough, should there be more? Obviously, those are your legislatures.
And you know, Kristin, I've tried ever since that Dollar Bay school election, I've tried to encourage every clerk in Houghton County to go above and beyond what is required by law. And, you know, websites, notices on their, any billings they send to their taxpayers and or voters. I mean, we are trying. I do hope you know that. And some people say we shouldn't because it's above what the law specifies. But for the sake of the voters and taxpayers in Houghton, I made the decision to try to do the right thing.
Lisa, is there anything you would like to add?
I don't have anything to add. No,
Okay.
no, I'm in agreement.
Kristin, I just wanted to let you know.
Oh, sorry, could you just identify, I know we know who you are, but if you just identify yourself for the purposes of the meeting, go ahead.
My name is Teresa Carney. I'm a former clerk in the village of Copper City. I was the clerk of the village for the last 4 years, and for my whenever I went to post, not only did I post for the Mining Gazette, I also posted on the window of the village, and I let the village people know that we were making changes for our millages, and if they wanted something done, to notify me so that I could let our village attorney know if there was something that needed to be done, so that the village attorney could address it before I sent it to Jennifer. So anyways, that's my suggestion.
Thank you. Ms. Lortie, anything else you'd like us to consider today?
I appreciate the feedback all around. So I want to say I appreciate it. And I also want to, I would close by saying that I realize that we can't force, and the Michigan requirements are very lax when it comes to elections. I mean, in my opinion, they're downright deplorable, both allowing the special elections and then the minimal notifications. Absent the change of those requirements, which feel Herculean to me, who has petitioned about on this for almost 2 years now, I am interested in informing the local parties that make these decisions, and to encourage their choice to send out voter mailings, their choice to put up information on their websites, because they do have choice, and all the boards involved in this have choice. So whether or not it's required, I wish that everyone was asking, what's, like Jennifer just said, what's the right thing to do, and what more can we do, given that we're expecting voters to find out about August tax elections and study up with little information. So I always end with the question of what more can be done, whether or not it's required by Michigan law. So, and I'm actually, you've given me the idea too, that I may petition to send out this information to multiple local bodies so that they're all informed, because you're right, they are voters, they are decision makers. There's many of them in Houghton County, and we could at least adjust the practice in Houghton County if it voluntarily, in the absence of changed requirements. So that's what I would end with.
Hey, Kristin, it's Jen again. So just so you know too, I also reach out to the media. So I'm talking the Gazette, the radio stations, and TV6, ABC 10 also. And I try to get them aware that an election's coming up, but hardly anybody does anything with it. So I can't force them to do any sort of press release or what on ballot languages, but maybe you could contact them and say, listen, I know Houghton County has this. The information's on the county's website. Why not start doing stories about it?
Mm-hmm.
Get it out to the public.
Mm-hmm. Good idea.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Lortie, thank you so much. And it was absolutely clear to me anyways, and I believe, so I don't want to speak for you too, but that a lot of thought, serious thought and consideration went into your positions. And And like I said, I've given all of us pause to think about things overall. And we certainly, that's why we wanted to make sure you had an opportunity to address this in person, as anybody should have that opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge Strome.
Okay, thank you. Teresa, anything else you wanted to say? If any other public comment? Okay, we would be moving on to old business then. Any old business? New business, Jennifer?
Just for us to approve the ballot languages that I have provided to everybody. They're also on the county's website. Everything's transparent.
So we have the Village of Laurium millage renewal, Village of Calumet for the street department, the Hubble Fire District 1.
Which is only the one precinct or
District
part
one?
of one, yes.
Yes. And then we have City of Hancock, their recreation millage renewal, as well as countywide, the Canal View, formerly medical care facility.
Their renewal.
Okay,
Yep,
so that's
correct.
Right, do
We have a total of 5.
and I know there have been a number of corrections before we finally got the proof ballots out, but, or received. Do I have a motion to approve the ballot language for the special election on August 3rd, 2021?
for all 5 or individually, or?
I think we can do all 5.
I would say so.
All
Okay,
5.
so I did review it. I will do a motion to approve all 5 of the ballot.
I would support. Any discussion? Any last second communications other than what's already been put into the ballots that we need to be aware of that may have come in this morning or in the last few days?
Nothing, everything is finally perfect.
Clerk could pull the board?
Lisa Madala,
Yes.
Judge Strome,
Yes.
Jennifer Kelly, yes.
Any additional public comment? Ms. Lortie, anything further before we adjourn? And ma'am, anything in closing you'd like to say?
No, I'm fine.
Anything else we need to address before we move to adjournment?
I just have something. I kind of tend to agree on my personal side with Ms. Lortie. In my school district, Adams Township, something similar like this was passed on a summer election, and the turnout was way low. And that was a few years back. And I went there. I went to meetings that the school district had, and there was hardly anybody there. I was the only one there with the board asking questions. So just I see where she's coming from. And,
Oh, definitely.
just on my personal side. And
Whether it be a small millage or
Yes.
a big millage.
yes, yes. So
When,
that was,
I mean, the voter turnout, I don't know what to say. All I can encourage people to do is go to michigan.gov/vote. Look at what is on your ballot.
Mhm.
There's elections set every single year, 3 to 4 times a year. It's unfortunately, they put it on the voters' responsibility to
they do.
keep
And-
themselves up to date what they're voting on.
And unfortunately,
We
a
have
lot
a
of,
request for comment again.
Request for comment. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Lortie.
Okay, I just, when you had asked that question a moment ago, I could not unmute because of the settings, the administrator settings, and you had asked if I had any more comment. I just wanted to say no, but I didn't want you to think that I wasn't.
Oh, okay. No, actually, I was a little bit concerned you'd gotten disconnected. We do Zoom all the time in court and people are getting connected and disconnected all the time. I'm glad you clarified that you were still there, and we are certainly looking forward to your additional correspondence, ma'am.
Good, I look forward to providing it.
Thanks,
All right.
Kristen.
Right, now with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Support, clerk will pull the board?
Lisa Madala.
Yes.
Judge Strome.
Yes.
Jennifer Kelly. Yes.
All right, meeting is adjourned, and I want to thank both of you for showing up and participating in our meeting. Our meetings are usually pretty lonely affairs, so it's not often that we get participation, but meaningful participation. The meaningful participation that we have had today has been very refreshing. It's good to see concerned citizens
Yes.
participate in public.
Yes.
public
And there
meetings.
is on the website now an election commission, under commission, then it goes to election commission. All the agendas, minutes, everything will be on there. Some have already begun. So Kristin, you can always look at that also.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks, Tom.
Thank you.